cruise with my buddy and his family. I was listening to Ben Shapiro.
We really should film like this.
I was listening to Ben Shapiro.
Dude, my poops don't smell. I don't have to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Irate.
What do you irate myself today?
Whoa. Welcome to another episode of
Call Him Father.
We didn't do that last time.
Did. I think we did.
All right.
Have you rewatched it?
You've seen it? No, I haven't. I just felt like we never did that.
All right, well, facts don't care about your feelings.
Ben Shapiro, get out of here.
Ben Shapiro.
You Jew. I was listening to him last night talk about why Jews don't try to convert people.
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting. He basically was like, we're chosen people.
Yeah.
Chosen doesn't mean better. Chosen just means that's like our role. He said, like, your oldest son isn't better because he was told to take out the trash. Because he was chosen to take out the trash. Like, that was his analogy. And he was like, this is our job to live this way, not your job. Mm-hmm. Your job is to follow the Noahmite 7 commandments, which are given before, which is like 7 out of 10 of the 10 commandments.
Which ones are they? Can I covet wives and donkeys?
No, you can't. No coveting. That one's not allowed. Adultery's not allowed. I think it just says to not have adultery. I think if you marry an animal, you're good.
Oh, yes, as long as I'm married first.
Just no adultery, so you just can't cheat on your wife with an animal.
What about multiple wives?
I don't know. I don't know what that one says.
Damn.
But anyways, I was listening to Ben Shapiro, Jew that he is.
Clip it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to Ben Shapiro. I was listening to Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro.
That guy is the most like his vibe speaks so much to just cunty teenage boys. Like,
yeah,
there's
man.
Really just no better guy for like aggravated sexmeister 13-year-old boys who want to pwn libs.
Dude, well,
he's that guy's annoying bitch voice.
He's just the exact he's the polar opposite of the I'm smarter than you 16-year-old atheist.
Sure.
We're like, Ghana is retarded. So if you think anything else, then clearly you haven't read. And he's just like the conservative version of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he talks so fast. It's like, listen, anyone that's talking that fast is not trying to communicate. You're trying to win.
Yeah.
It's like, stop. Just slow down for a second.
Yeah. His argument tactic is just suppressing fire.
Yeah. And it's like overwhelm, and it's like, okay, this isn't like, I feel like this is not.
He's just trying
helpful.
to keep you from saying, "Dude, you're a pussy." That's what all that is doing.
Well, actually, he did do a funny. I thought this was really funny. This is years ago when Wet Ass Pussy came out.
Oh yeah.
And he did a thing like I think she has a medical, and he was clearly like joking.
Yeah.
But then everyone was like, Ben Shapiro doesn't know that vaginas get wet, and then it's
because
like, all right,
it's
stupid.
Impossible to understand that guy could ever joke in his entire life.
Yeah, but it's just so stupid when people are like, okay, but obviously he's joking.
But they're joking. That's such a perfect
no. I don't
joke
think they
to
are
say
joking.
Ben Shapiro doesn't understand pussies can get wet.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a joke. You're
funny
the same guy.
No, but I find none of it funny. Like, I don't think his joke was funny, and I also don't find their joke funny. So I'm like,
a riff off of a bad joke is always bad.
Right, and that's why I thought, well, why would you riff on that? That's stupid. It just let him die, you know.
But it's just so it's easy. It's right there. That works so perfectly for like a political like a Fallon. Or like, not Fallon, but Colbert, to be like
John
Ben
Oliver.
Shapiro doesn't, exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, how are you feeling religiously today, Josh, and spiritually? Because someone was a naughty boy.
I did miss church today.
Whoa.
I was out late doing spots, and then I got home pretty late, and so I was like, well, early service is out.
Yeah.
Can't do early service. And then I was like, all right, I'll go late service. And then, frankly, I just missed late service. Too.
That happens. Yeah.
Because I was like, well,
what's the punishment for missing church?
There's no punishment.
So it's okay. It's not preferred, but it's okay. But there's nothing in the book that's like, you shall never. You don't get like a stamp card if you mix X amount of days.
No, literally, from my understanding, it could be totally wrong if there are other more strict Christians listening to this than me. But my understanding is like, do not forsake the gathering of the saints. That's literally as much as it says for go to church on Sundays. Don't forsake the gathering of the saints, which is like, okay, what does that even mean? Does that mean on Sundays? Does that mean ever? Does that mean like, what does that look like? Like, it's a very vague thing. My mom is in her 70s And in her 70s, she realized, oh, I guess we don't have to go to church 2 times a Sunday. Like she thought you had to have a morning and evening service. And then just in her 70s, in the past couple years, she was like, oh, I guess you don't have to go at night.
And then she stopped? Or
No, she still goes, but it's just you don't have to. She thought it was like like you had to go at night. Like she would not go to a church, like be a regular member to church that did not have an evening service. Or if she did, she would
Yours
not like it.
Yours doesn't have an evening service, does it?
Mine now, no, it does not. I think they're thinking of starting one though.
Really?
But, yeah.
Well, that just sounds that doesn't sound like rest to me.
Well, how do you define rest, you know?
Sleeping all day and farting in my bed.
Yeah, I don't know if farting in your bed.
Just not
Just
leaving.
Dutch ovening yourself?
No, sometimes I do the sheet lift to feel less dirty, but a lot of the times I don't.
That's funny. When I fart in my bed, I just kind of forget about it. Because most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, most of the time my farts really don't smell.
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
Listen, I don't think I've told this on the pod before, but it's one of my proudest moments in life. Mm-hmm. I was on a cruise with my buddy and his family, and I was sharing a room with him and his 2 sisters. Tiny room inside the cabin.
So hot.
And they were in high school.
Weren't you?
No, I was in college. No, not
the forbidden fruit.
No, not.
The apple in Eden.
I did not even perceive them as fruit. I was like, those are sticks, and I'm not. And no. But anyways, the bathroom, tiny room, right? And my buddy was like, "Hey, use some poopery before you poop in there." And I was like, "Dude, my poops don't smell. I don't have to do this." And then he was like, "Just do it, okay?" And I was like, "All right, fine." So then I go, I poop, I leave the room. I leave the bathroom. I tell him to go in there. I'm like, go, just make sure it smells good. He goes in there. He's like, yeah, okay, it smells good. And I was like, I didn't use any poopery.
Wow.
I didn't use it. It didn't smell at all.
That's really gross.
Really big brag. Why? It's just my poop is like styrofoam. Just
the idea of him
being
being
no
like,
odor.
Well, that's because it doesn't have any nutrients in it. But
what nutrients is what smells?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times it's like a mix of nutrients and gases and stuff.
Herbivore poops probably smell really bad.
Salad farts are the worst farts you can get. Salad and protein farts.
I eat a lot of protein now.
But you don't need a lot of salad.
I have spinach every day.
You do?
Yeah.
You eat it like a pill, like I do?
I'm not even, but basically.
Yeah, I do.
I put like multiple handfuls of spinach on
in my mouth
with baby cucumbers or mini cucumbers and then mandarin oranges, and I just go wham, wham.
See, I just go straight in. I eat it like it's medicine.
Yeah, it's I don't use any dressing. It's all dry.
Yeah,
it's really not. People are grossed out by my.
But it's like effective.
Yeah, and dressing is what's bad for you.
I do like a nice tossed salad, but
you like getting a tossed salad.
I like a nice tossed salad, but
feed people, pay attention.
Listen up, but but this is just a quick and easy way to get a thing that people tell me is good for me.
Yeah,
it's like you take a multivitamin. I take 2 handfuls of spinach.
Yeah, for sure, and people will judge you, and it's like, why? Because I don't eat spinach the way you eat spinach?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? A religion? Come on, you guys.
Yeah.
Let's separate over something else. Let's separate over our opinions on a deity.
Yeah, right.
Not how we eat salad.
Important.
Yeah.
A higher power.
Yeah, a higher power.
Or lack thereof.
Hey.
That's what the disagreement would likely be.
Yeah, I guess probably.
Because these ones are all the same God, the main 3.
I mean, I don't think any of them would say that, but yeah, I think maybe they'd try to.
It's all the God of Abraham, right?
They're all the God of Abraham, right?
But then what he tells them is different.
Kind of. I mean, in nature, they are different because once Jesus calls himself God,
yeah,
that kind of changes everything. Because Jews and Muslims both deny the deity of Christ. So if we believe in the Trinity, which the other 2 also deny, and Jesus is a part of the Trinity, we'd say, well, Jesus is God. And then they would say, no, he's not. And then by definition, we believe in different gods.
Oh, okay.
Because if I believe in God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and they just believe in one God without distinct persons, then it just is a different God. We believe in a triune God. They believe in a God, like a un God. I don't know how to equate that.
So Christians aren't, they're like not monotheists.
We are. It's weird. We are monotheists. We believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven. I just go through the Apostles' Creed. Where's that? Anyways, we believe in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 distinct persons in one Godhead. So it's why God is inherently relational, because if we believe God is eternal, God has always been Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And he's always had relationship with himself, which is why we think God is inherently relational. It's not just him alone before all things. It was him with himself, if that makes sense.
Sounds like alone.
It doesn't. Yeah, but himself has distinct persons, but they're all part of the one Godhead. So it's
So God is like Sybil with multiple personalities.
Sybil?
Yeah, Sybil. You know the it's a movie with Sally Fields about a lady with multiple personalities.
Oh, okay. So that is what they would call. There are so many different Trinity heresies. I think that would be called like modalism, kind of, in terms of that's where God is in different modes. He's operating as Father, and then he changes to be operating as Jesus.
He changes like sicko mode.
Yeah, sicko mode.
Yeah, crazy frog mode.
That's a good song. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's called modalism, and that's a heresy because that implies that it is one God who changes modes rather than 3 distinct persons in one Godhead. Listen, I'm not going to explain the Trinity perfectly. Frankly, I'm impressed I've gotten as far as I have. It is one of the most confusing aspects of Christian theology, and any good Christian theologian will tell you as much. No one is like, oh yeah, this is a simple, not complicated thing.
Why is it so confusing?
It's a crazy mystery. I mean, I don't understand it fully. Right? God's a mystery. If God's eternal, God will be mysterious. You can't have infinite and not have any mystery, right? Like, it'd be crazy for it to be like, oh yeah, it's everything, and it's also totally understandable. It's like, well, if it's infinite, then it's gonna be confusing at times. Mm-hmm. You know?
Sure.
If anything's big enough, it's gonna be confusing.
I don't know. Your forehead's pretty simple. Roasted. Fucking punked.
I think my forehead's...
You don't even have that big of a
forehead. I was about to say. I think
you
my
have a big head.
I have a big head. I have a big head. I need a special hat.
Yeah, a helmet.
Yeah, I need a special hat. Yeah. It's a hard hat.
A helmet with 2 chocolate milks on each side to suck on.
Man, that'd be good.
So do you get a downgrade in your spirituality because you miss church?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you dropped orange water on my couch.
Well, thankfully it's orange.
That's true.
It'll blend right in.
Yeah.
But no, I think no downgrade in spirituality. I still feel very close to the Lord. I've had a good, like I said, good moments with him in the past week. We're just, yeah, it feels good. It feels assuring, which is fantastic as always. Just a good baseline. I was thinking about that this morning when I was pooping. I was like, when I run out of every excuse, earthly excuse that I have of like my worthiness or my effectiveness or whatever, the baseline that I return to is that Jesus died for me. Mm-hmm. How encouraging is that? The fact
especially
that
when you're crowning.
Yeah, when you're crowning, man, it's such a
crown
win-win.
of thorns, because sometimes it hurts.
Sometimes it hurts. Not so much for me. It's pretty smooth these days, which has been great.
You love like subtly bragging about your bowel movements.
I have good. I hang out with a lot of people who don't have good poops, and so I do, and maybe that means I should brag less about it, frankly. But yeah, I do feel pretty good about it. So that's why I'm at spiritually, religiously, same thing. So yeah, I'd give myself maybe a 6 on the spiritual and an 8 on the religion. What about yourself?
Nice. Didn't go to church. What we're reading right now is not very inspiring, and we'll get into that, why that is. And so stay tuned, like and subscribe, look at our feed, take pictures, touch yourself. And the spiritual stuff is just, I haven't made an effort. I will ask, God damn it. I think I have to go get that.
Yeah, go get it. Wait, ask what you'll ask first, then I can answer.
Well, sometimes when I pray, it's in a position like this, right? And I'm on my bed and my back is arched, and I kind of am stretching my back while I do it.
Right.
And that layout, that splaying, opens up the system, and I'm like, man, I really got to fart right now.
Aligning your chakras.
But this doesn't feel like an appropriate time to fart.
God does not care if you fart while you pray.
Fuck yeah. You heard it here. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. I'm having a stroke. I'm also not going to get the door.
You can fart and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, God does not care if you fart when you pray.
Wow, that's really nice.
That's
a loving God.
Dude, I think about that. I mean, think about going in the Tabernacle. You can only go into the Holy of Holies like once a year. Mm-hmm. You got to fart. You're like, Oh no!
You gotta hold it in the
What if
tabernacle.
you die? I'd imagine.
You
What if you
can't-
fart and then you die?
What if you fart and then you die? Oh,
Like
you
God
get hit?
strikes you because you're impure or something. I mean, I don't think that he would have.
I mean, how long are you in there? That part we don't. That part wasn't answered
Didn't dive
to me.
into that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't dive into that yet.
Okay.
But okay, yeah. I mean, I think that's perhaps a blessing, even if it's a good feeling fart.
Yeah, maybe it's
Did that feel
him
good?
speaking through me.
Yeah, did that feel good to you? Awesome.
I mean,
Nothing
it never
sinful about
feels.
farting,
It never
buddy?
feels good to hold in a fart.
No, dude. When I hold in a poop for too long, I feel it gurgling. It's not good, man. Listen to your body.
But there is a point in
Body keeps
there
the
is a
score.
point where your body goes. If you keister it for long enough, where it goes, okay, I guess I just don't have to do this again.
Yeah,
For
I
a
guess
while.
I really try not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's sometimes when you're out in public and you're like, I just don't have the space to be doing this. I don't have the freedom,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like some Muslims might do that with prayer. You know what I mean? Like, you ever see some Muslims just lay their prayer rug out like 5 p.m. in the street, you know,
Sure.
whatever, and they're doing that. And I'm like, that's a confident, comfortable. I bet they could poop anywhere. You know
Because
what I mean?
they're willing, but I feel like they can't pray when they fart because they got to clean their hands and everything. It's supposed to be very holy. and
Sure, but
everything.
I'm just saying, I bet they're those
But they're in such
Muslims.
a fartable position too.
Oh, sure.
With
I think,
the child's pose.
yeah, I child's pose when I pray.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really, I found, because when I pray in the morning and then I go to the gym, I find that I'm more flexible. I'm thinking like, I think this is literally a good stance for your body. Like, it's funny when the Lord says like, hey, pray. He doesn't say to pray in that way necessarily, right? But when you do find yourself feeling better. It's like physically, not just spiritually, but physically.
Yeah, but where does that come from? If that's
Tradition?
if it's not told to you how to there's nothing in the book that says bend like this.
There are mentions of the Lord praying. I've heard Christians say that the only times they talk about Jesus praying, he is either kneeling or standing. There is no position of him sitting and praying. So
He's kneeling during the national anthem.
I know, yeah, exactly. People are like, oh, you gotta stand
damn
for
it.
that. He's got the Kaepernick fro.
Yeah.
No, so some Christians will not sit while they pray. They will only stand or kneel. Because they've just never,
Have you ever seen the Hasidic Jews, how they kind of like do that wobble?
like, they're homeless.
Not heroin wobble. They like almost dance. So they sway back and forth. And it's like it's a prayer thing.
Oh, okay.
It's very interesting. They go like this. They're like almost like humping.
All right, come on.
That's how it is. I went to an oil or whatever it's called.
Oil rig.
I went to an oil rig where Jews are. I'd say more of probably a Muslim thing statistically, but
Yeah, probably. It's deep sea.
but it's basically there's this one in either Queens or Deep Brooklyn, but it's like this very famous rabbi, and you go and it's a cemetery, a Jewish cemetery, and then his grave in particular is like an open hole with him and his wife that they're in. They're covered obviously, and then you write notes to him and you throw them into the hole, and so this hole is just full of like little slips of paper,
Wow.
and there's Jews praying around, and they're all doing this wobble. It's when I was there, I was like, I should not. It's open to the public, but I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here right now.
How many of those notes are anti-Semitic?
I have very few, I assume.
Dude, I bet there's some.
I bet maybe a couple, but I don't think anti-Semites are that like
You dumb Jew.
creative.
Throw it in the grave. On the grave.
And then they're going all the way out there to just do that.
Well, I imagine if they stumble across it,
Sure.
they're like,
but
"Oh, I'm writing something."
I don't imagine they're stumbling across it.
I don't know.
It's
You never know.
in the middle of like a weird residential neighborhood in like Queens.
I'm just saying,
It's an
man.
interesting experience, but and then you watch a video where he talks about stuff. That guy.
Do you know why they offer prayers to or give him the paper?
I think it's like the rabbinical Judaism version of a wishing well. But then they don't have to give away those precious pennies.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be throwing coins down there. Oh, jeez.
Paper.
Paper's better.
But yeah,
Hilarious.
it is cool though. Like, it does feel like a holy place, whether that's
Yeah,
like
everyone's treating
in
it
my
as
head
such.
or not. But
Or in their head.
but it is. it does feel like this place is not for me. I think when I walk into like old churches and get that feeling, there's something open about them, and everybody kind of, I mean, maybe it's like a tribalism thing or like a monkey brain thing, but like everybody kind of looks like me, but these are all like Hasidic level Jews.
Right.
I don't know if they're actually Hasidic or they're Chabad or whatever, but and I'm like in like a Arcturix,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that is kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Ben Shapiro. They're
Sure.
not trying to convert. They're not trying to get more Jews.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, no, this is good. We're good on the amount of Jews.
Yeah.
And so it's like you show up and they're like, what are you doing here?
No, they weren't honestly like judgy or
Well,
like
yeah,
looky,
because they're not
but-
going to talk to you. Did they talk to you?
No.
Yeah, they're not
But they
going to talk
weren't
to you.
staring.
Sure.
They were doing their prayer stuff.
You're less than nothing to
Lots
them.
of crying. Yeah, they're not even worth. You're not even worth looking
You're
at.
less than zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
like
churches are like, please, everyone come in, and synagogues
Sure.
are like,
We're good.
More progressive, you know, and that if they're a Reformed Jew or like an atheist Jew or something, you really like the Judeo-Christian values.
Sure.
So you're like, yeah, let's live for that. Like it becomes more moralism, and then
Okay.
you're like, is any of it real? Like I have Jewish friends who are really proud of being Jewish, and then I'm like,
Sure.
do you believe in any of it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then what? What?
Yeah,
Like, that doesn't make
it's
sense to me
It's a
personally.
heritage and a history.
Yeah, yeah. I get them being proud of their heritage and history, but also they have to understand like that's rooted in a belief that it's historically accurate. Like if you don't think Moses really existed, like,
Well, I think
then
you can
what are
think
you
he's
doing?
existed, but you can see the stories as like exaggerations or tales that are meant to reinforce like.
Yeah, but so many other Jews didn't think that. Like that just seems weird. It seems like a weird divide, you know? Like if you didn't believe in the divinity of Christ, you're not a Christian. It's just plain and simple. It's just like that's how it is. It's not like if you don't believe in the God of the Jews,
I guess it's different.
why are you a
with
Jew?
Jews though, because it's also like a race
it's
thing.
yeah, it's an ethnicity thing.
So it's not like you're not a Jew if you don't believe in the 613 principles or whatever. Do you want
sorry,
to try
this
and
keeps-
keep the liquid
this
in the
keeps
mouth, or do
spilling-
you want to
it
keep
keeps-
spilling it on my couch?
I'm pulling it. Here's what I'm doing: is I'm pulling it out and I'm keeping it tilted. So I don't know why it's pouring out when I do that.
Maybe it's because
Maybe
your
I'm
hand
tilting it
wants so
even more.
badly to have it be coming back in. Yeah,
Keep it into my
your hole.
yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so you're same as last time we recorded.
Yeah, a day ago. We're trying to build up.
Trying to be discreet.
We've been releasing things late. We feel bad. We know you guys care.
Yeah, we
and
think it's
it's
really
really
care.
affecting
We know
your
that
life.
two of you guys really care.
We know that you're waiting around me like, where's the new CHF episode?
We're at CHF
They said every Sunday or Monday. I can't remember what we said.
Sunday.
But yeah, we've been bad about that.
Yeah, we've been
You
uploading.
think
on
you'll get out
Tuesdays.
today?
Probably not, because I'm going to be out. I'm going to be out.
But tomorrow you have off.
Tomorrow I will be able to get it off. Yeah.
So I feel this. It's just I've been busy, been thinking a lot of stuff. I haven't been practicing anything. The reading is not that interesting. But I did go to a small church, Episcopal church group thing with my girlfriend, and it was really nice. And I was telling you this yesterday. I had this moment where everybody was like praying for everybody at the table and other people, and the only thing that I was thinking in my head was, "Oh my God, it'd be so nice if this was real." God, please let any part of this be real.
Please exist.
Yeah.
I will say the most real thing that you can definitely know is real is that it is happening right now.
Yeah, people are gathering for a purpose, a communal purpose. And that's honestly, why can't that be enough?
Do you want me to answer that or?
You will.
I think it's great that is a positive experience, and I hope it pushes you towards further investigation of what is true.
Yeah.
Because I think that's great. The fact that you saw that and were like, wow, I hope that everything they're praying to is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said yesterday, I think it would be better for it to be real than for it to not be real,
Yes.
you know? And that's a cool place to
I don't know,
start.
but then I was thinking, is it better that there's like, is it better that there is no God and like things happen, and then there's no one who's like just watching by as awful stuff is happening? Or is it better that there's a God and there's like a plan behind it? But then he's partly responsible for that awful stuff.
Sure. I mean, I would say that he's not responsible for the awful stuff. I'd say that he's basically in my mind, and I could definitely be misconstruing this. The question is it better that there is salvation or there is no salvation? It's like, or that you just think there will be? Is it better for you to think that there will be salvation or for you to think that there will be salvation and there is? I think salvation is better than not salvation. So I would think it would be better that God exists because he has come to save us from sin and suffering. That does exist.
Yeah,
regardless.
it would be better. It would obviously be better.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because then it's like...
Lasts for 2 seconds.
It does last for 2 seconds. That's all of this stuff lasts for 2 seconds.
It's like a spark. You're like, that's a good... No,
but then you're instantly like, well, yeah, but it also gets back to like the free will and working outside of God and like...
Sure.
Because then it's like... okay, let's take it back to the Pharaoh, the repeated hardening of his heart.
Right.
That results in the plagues coming. God is doing the hardening of the heart.
Sometimes it also says Pharaoh hardened his heart as well. So it's kind of a weird mix.
So it's like, where is this combination?
Yeah.
And at what point, where is God's hardening the heart of, the guy who just keeps raping and killing? It's like, where does he intervene? Where doesn't he? Whereas if he's just not there, and then it's just like, it makes a lot more sense if it's just kind of advanced animalistic stuff.
I see what you're saying. It does seem like kind of a tough trade-off. Because here's the thing. When you say like, well, it makes sense that this person's doing an awful thing because it's an animalistic thing, you can look at what he's doing and be like, oh, that makes sense. But what you're also doing, I think, is now you're saying, well, what he's doing isn't even bad. It's just an animalistic reaction. And I think it does take away free will, ultimately, if all there is physics and like law in terms of how those physics work. You are taking away the morality of it, which I think is, you can't ever say it's wrong anymore. And also, you're taking away, again, any salvation or hope in that things will be made right. Or you believe in a God who can make bad things, not the bad things themselves, but he can make good come from evil. Not that the evil thing is like, see, it was actually good. The evil thing remains evil, but good can come from that. You believe in a God that can do that, and that there will be salvation from that. So it's confusing as to understand that balance. But ultimately, I would say I would rather be confused and hopeful than really sure about how that thing that I perceive as evil isn't actually even evil, but I totally get why it's happening now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was listening to Norm talk about how like, I'm probably going to screw up his I was listening to it as I was falling asleep. So this is like not the best presentation
in your dream,
of it.
yeah.
But it was like, he was talking about how like, one of the hardest things is accepting that there's a loving God, but then all this bad stuff happens in his world.
Yeah.
And, well, it's like God is only good and he's infinite and he's perfect. So the only additional stuff that can be created outside of him is bad. And that's why it exists.
Yeah. I mean, even to say exists outside of him, some people would refer to that same thing as a negation, right? So that evil is actually closer to non-existence than to becoming something. But based on what we understand existence to mean, it doesn't feel that way. But when you're doing bad, you're actually working more towards death than towards life, which is eking towards non-existence. So yeah, I mean, I agree with Norm. I'd maybe use different words, but the concept that he's saying, I totally agree with.
Okay. I don't know. I made me fall asleep, so I didn't really get the whole thing. But
yeah, I get what I mean. Obviously, that is the big theodicy. People need a good theodicy to like understand God.
Theodicy is what? The justification of evil?
Not justification of evil, but the problem of suffering and evil.
Okay.
And so it's like, what is your theodicy? What is your solution, quote unquote?
Yeah.
And I think a great the solution that I have is the fact that God came into like became man and suffered with us. He didn't keep himself from suffering. He did suffer too. So God's not like this deistic God that's like, yeah, things suck for you guys down there. He's like, yeah, it sucks for you. I'm actually going to take the biggest punishment possible. God, who you think is the cause of this suffering, even though I would argue he's not. But he said, let's say that I am. I'll take the punishment for the suffering through Jesus.
Yeah.
So that you might not. So even though he didn't cause it, he's taking the punishment for it. And then even if he did cause it, he's still taking the punishment for it. So it's one of those weird things where it's like, it's either justified or it's the most miraculous sacrifice you can imagine, which of course I would say it's the sacrifice thing. But even if you do think he caused it, he created a way out of it, which is through Jesus.
Okay. Theodicy is a great name for a strong boy.
Yeah, or like a book series.
And then you'd call him
about a guy going to war.
That's the Odyssey. But theodicy sounds like you could call him Theo. It's a good,
Theo.
It's a good boy's name.
Did you know that's what Theo Vaughn's full name is? Theodicy Vaughn.
Theodicy Vaughn?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's surprising for someone who
he's
grew up
so
in a trailer
southern,
park.
Yeah, his best friends were rats growing up or whatever.
Sure, and monkeys.
Yeah. Met rats and monkeys. I wish I could do a good Theo.
Yeah, it's a good one to know now. But Jesus Christ. I really chug these things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're drinking it fast. I'm noticing that.
I love them. They do a good job. I love them a lot.
You're talking about a group of people.
All right, I don't know. You want to get into this fucking shit?
Yeah, first explain your attitude as to why and I'm not saying it's not justified, but just explain where you're coming from right now.
So I think when the Bible is fun and not fun to read, but interesting to read is when the rules, right? I think the rules are interesting because it's like, why are they so? What did they help for this culture? Why did they make it successful? And then stories. Stories are fun.
Narrative.
But and this is your metaphor or whatever, simile, lack or ass. But this next few chapters, which is the kind of IKEA instructions on the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, the table of bread, the things that go inside of the tabernacle, which is like a traveling place of worship or church.
To the traveling place of worship.
Yes, not as catchy.
Yeah. Hence.
They are just instructions for a thing that Jews don't even do anymore. And it's boring and technical and did nothing really to draw from it that I could find.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult because it's one of those things where, like, it's there for a reason. There's nothing in the Bible that's there for no reason. It is there for a reason. Do we have the historical knowledge to understand its significance of each thing? No. I mean, I'm just saying quickly, no, we do not. I can look at this and be like, okay, some of the things that I'm taking away from this is that being in the presence of God back then was freaking complicated. It wasn't easy. You got to build all this stuff. It's got to look just like this. You got to wash yourself before you go in. You can't even go in. You have to have a priest go in whose whole job is to be like the mediator between you and God. Yeah. And they have to be clean. And you have to sacrifice for yourself. And then they have to sacrifice on top of you. So, like, what I'm seeing from all of this,
so many sacrifices. Two a day?
Dude, I'm just thinking of like all the blood that had to be. I mean, so much blood.
Well, I think they burn. Oh no, I guess they strip them and then burn the entrails.
Yeah, there's just so much blood. And I think Wes Huff was talking about this. Talking about like back then the priests were kind of the butcher of the day. Like that's kind of what was kind of their role. But anyways, so much blood. And they talk about building the tabernacle. The tabernacle, like he said, is basically a movable temple. Because in this time when they're wandering through the desert, they still want a temple to be set up to be for God to be in their midst. And this one is mobile, basically. And you can see that. This is one thing I did draw up. When they build the Ark of the Covenant, which is like the presence of the Lord most succinctly put in a physical place. This is the Ark of the Covenant.
Which is just the tablets inside of...
It's the tablets, it's Aaron's staff.
And Indiana Jones' great discovery.
Right. What did he discover?
The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first one.
Did you hear this? That some people think the Ark of the Covenant still exists in Ethiopia. There's like a group of Ethiopians that are still...
they're like guarding the Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah, like there's one dude whose whole life
Ethiopians?
thing... I don't know if they're Jewish. They could be Christian. But yeah, they're Ethiopians that are guarding the Ark of the Covenant. And no one's allowed inside the room to look at it. And it's just one dude is allowed in per lifetime. And then he dies and he appoints the next person before he dies.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's your job now to guard the Ark of the Covenant.
It's just like a porno magazine that was like dropped off.
Yeah, it's one Playboy. just a single.
Isn't there like a Tom Waits movie where like a Coca-Cola falls off of a plane into like a native like Amazonian tribe, and then they learn to worship the Coca-Cola and the sky gods?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like something they do. I bet Coca-Cola would kill those people. It's just sugar would just burn right through their stomach.
Well, the company Coca-Cola might kill them so that they can use their land.
Use their land. But so the Ark of the Covenant, it had these had rings on the side and it had rods to kind of pick up, so you could like put them in between on your shoulders.
Everything's encrusted in gold.
Everything's encrusted in gold.
By the way, probably the gold that they were gifted by the Egyptians.
Yeah, that they got from the Egyptians. But the idea is, he said, hey, don't remove the rods from the side of the Ark of the Covenant, from the presence of the Lord, kind of showing that God is mobile. God is not just stationed in this one place. God is moving around. God's calling them to where to go throughout the desert. Kind of symbolic in that nature, I think. So, I mean, there's
the cherubim. That part's a little interesting. Cherubim.
Yeah.
Basically, the Ark of the Covenant has these two
angel type figures.
Well, yeah, angel. They're like they're kind of sphinx-like in description.
Yeah.
Of they don't know exactly what they looked like, but a lot of people thought, there's some historical thought that they look kind of like half lions, half people, with angel wings, and they guard over the top of the covenant. And then I guess
the ark,
God sits on it, and he's like, his feet are dangling, and he's like, "Come on, Moses, I want to tell you something."
Yeah, come on, he's like gay.
Yeah,
he's a gay God.
Yeah, and he's only letting dudes into his fun house.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, only dudes are allowed in. They gotta, and they have to sacrifice on top of that. It's just so common. Only like a few dudes are let in, at that, and they're all Levites, into the Holy of Holies at least. But yeah, they're talking about building the table of the presence and building all this stuff, and they have like, there's going to be curtains, and they're going to be this big, and there's going to be 8 of those curtains, and there's going to be 10 of these curtains, and
it's
there's going to have this many rings.
God's interior decoration wish list.
And the idea was to create a place that mimicked what Eden was like prior to the fall, a place that was holy and filled with God's presence. And that's why they have so much like flower imagery and all of this stuff, is to like try and like on the lampstands and things of that nature. Yeah,
that also confused me, is I thought the menorah thing came from after this, the like 7 days or whatever.
It does.
8 nights, but then they already have the menorah.
Well, they have the menorah. It came from there, but then about the miraculous not running out of oil, that was way later. And that's where Hanukkah came from.
Okay. But it's already got the number. I thought the number came from the days and nights.
Oh, no. The number of days of Hanukkah celebrated, yes.
Is 8.
Yeah, but there's only 7 of the candles.
Oh, okay. Then I think I'm just confused.
Yeah, we're probably way off here. But
no.
Yeah,
us?
We're probably wrong.
Wow.
That's the thing, you guys. If you ever throwing something critical at us, first off, completely fair. But secondly,
but please don't.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Nobody's going to.
You know what you should do? If you are being critical of us, share this with 10 of your friends. And then
so
complain
that you can
to
prove
them.
Us wrong.
Yeah, complain
together.
to them. And then tell them to tell 10 of their friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we've reached 110 people.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what we think you should do. But also, yeah, I mean, it's sorry, I just
so the podcast is going well when Josh checks his phone.
Well, yeah, because it's so rarely is ringing. Mm-hmm. But also like the curtains and stuff like that. I was thinking it's got to be. Is there curtains outside of the tabernacle, and then more curtains inside, and then curtains inside of that to create like sub rooms, and the Holy of Holies is the room inside. So
that's where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Yes, the Holy of Holies, and then there's the holy place outside of the Holy of Holies, and then there's the comet. That's like we're more jumping. Although I don't know if I'm thinking of the temple now or the tabernacle. I'm getting them confused.
This is the tabernacle. You got Holy of Holies.
Yep.
Which is what Josh's boyfriend calls his butthole, and then you have the kind of hangout area, the chill vibes area with your incense altar, your golden lamps. Lampstand, and the table of bread. All of these pages, by the way, are just the descriptions of things.
Yeah, it's not even really talking about their purpose.
No,
it's just saying this is what they're doing.
Yeah,
this is what you got to make.
And so we get through the tabernacle, the court of the tabernacle, which is, I guess, the courtyard outside.
Yeah,
and that's where the altar is. And the altar, I mean, they're doing crazy things on the altar. They're burning 2 sets of goat entrails a day. So they really had a lot of goats.
Yeah, 2 a day when you think about it.
It's insane.
Yeah, no.
Dude, that's a lot of goats.
2 goats a day? They've got millions of people there. Yeah, imagine how many goats they have.
Yeah.
Millions of goats.
Okay, but it just seems like so many goats to just burn.
Compared to now, you know the last time I saw a goat? like at the zoo 7 years ago.
Okay, fair. The oil for the lamps, everything's covered in gold, but the farther it gets from the Holy of Holies, then things become
Less gold.
less gold. So silver, bronze, that's an important point for some reason. The colors of the internal curtains are important. You've got purple for divinity.
Royalty.
No, purple's regal. Yeah, purple's royalty. And then blue is divinity. The consecration of the priests. So when there's a 7-day thing to initiate all the priests into becoming priests, they start getting bling, which is the ephod and the stuff that the priest gets to wear. Really cool.
Yeah.
It's like basically think of like a bulletproof vest just made out of like onyx and crystals and shit.
12 different stones each representing a tribe of Israel.
Yeah.
So that when he comes before the Lord to offer sacrifice for the sins, the 12 tribes are represented.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a representation of all of Israel and all their sins being forgiven. And again, this is just to have the presence of the Lord with them. So much particular work and effort and all this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. Now it's crazy. Think about back then when they lived in a very like polytheistic society, and then they have the one God, the God of everything, right? Who said he created everything, and that God is in your camp. You got to be like, wow, we are lucky. That's freaking fortunate that the one God who created everything, including all the other gods, if the other gods exist, chose us and is like choosing to be with us. Damn, we're fortunate.
That is lucky.
We are super fortunate. And also the fact that they're not even like a killer nation. They're not in Egypt. They're not in Assyria. They're not all these big things that like are dominant. They're like a tiny nation that is kind of insignificant in the grand scheme of things historically, except for the fact that they continued to persist and are now, Jews are highly successful proportionately to their population. And they birthed Jesus, which gave birth to the largest religion of all time. So it's like, how did that happen? From this tiny nothing tribe to this? I mean, it's crazy. One would say a miracle.
One would.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Not this guy.
A lot less would, but
no, a lot would, but a lot more.
Less.
Would say it's a miracle?
Yeah, a lot less would now, I'm saying.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah, they'd just be like, well, I don't know how to.
Is it still the biggest? Christianity still the biggest one?
I don't know, man. I'm always hesitant to that number, actually, because it's like, did you know that there are 3 billion Christians on the planet right now? And I'm like, shut up. No, there aren't. There are people that are like, well, I'm white, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, shut up, dude.
The most powerful of the Christians.
Really
the
bothers
Levite
me.
Of Christians. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. It's kind of cool that they. I guess the aspect of everything having handles and stuff, the aspect that everything needs to be mobile, is interesting. Like the idea that, like, hey, we're going to be moving around for a while.
Yeah.
We need to have this connection to God, and we need to be able to put up this place quickly. Is an interesting thing to think about. I guess there's also like this kind of aspect of the advantages of a roaming people. Like when shit is good, when you're in a good place, like the advantage of mobility for a people.
Yeah.
Of like, wow, this place is good. We can hang out here for a while, and then the second it gets bad, we have a system that is very easy to get us to move on to the next place.
Right.
You know?
And also in terms of like nomadic, I'm trying to I mean, I don't know enough about ancient religions and ancient spirituality to speak to this really, but like Egypt, they've got their nation state of Egypt, and there's their gods of Egypt, gods of that land, right?
Yeah.
And they see another nation somewhere else, and they have their own gods. Are those gods tied to that particular land? Are they tied to that particular people? If Egypt decide to up and leave, would Isis still be their god, or is Isis tied to like the Nile or something? You know what I mean? Like, is the God of the Hebrews the only God that is tied particularly to that people no matter where they go? Or is it really just like he's God of this land and will bless us on this land? Because it is also weird that they're in a desert. Like they're not feeling, they are taken care of with manna that falls from heaven and things of this nature, but like they're not like, we're growing crops, we're doing all this stuff, we're highly prosperous for 40 years. They're in a desert, and they're still, and God is still providing for them in a way that is
they're just eating meat this entire time. Meat and bread.
I mean, I'm sure they got some other stuff going on.
Sure, figs,
trade, and whatever.
Yeah,
they run across other people. They get a banana.
Maybe that's why they're just jacked, because they're on like the protein diet.
Yeah, building strength. Yeah, kind of burns away all the fat.
They've been doing keto for years, dude.
Yeah,
they're ripped. Their their VO2 max is higher.
They're wandering around.
They're doing everything Rogan is telling them to do. They're doing all meat. They're in a sauna all day, essentially.
Super hot. They need an ice bath. That's the one thing they're giving up on right now.
They're not doing the ice bath.
They're not doing the ice bath. They're not doing the mouth tape.
Yeah, they probably have
done the mouth tape?
Alpha brand. I think that is so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up with... it's called hostage tape. I don't want to wake up and feel like a hostage.
That's very funny. I tried mouth tape for a bit, but it just didn't work with my mustache. But I thought it would be helpful for me to stop snoring, because snoring is when you breathe in through both your nose and mouth. So if I taped my mouth shut, I'd stop snoring. And it did work for those times that I did it, but also like it just didn't stick because of the mustache. And I just didn't.
It's just another excuse to spend money on a thing that you have to keep buying.
Yeah, that's why I stopped buying. I bought like one pack, and then I didn't even use it. I'd use it like 4 times.
Yeah, I'm good with just sleep.
Yeah, that's what you think, idiot. This guy.
I do use breath strips sometimes, and the first time I did it seemed
breath strips.
Yeah, like the breathe right strips.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm up and down on this.
What have you seen the ones that are like magnetic?
Yeah,
and they go and they click and they draw your nose out.
Yeah, those I don't understand. Is it like a strip that you put on that's like really adhesive, and then the magnetic takes that, or am I putting like ball bearings up my nostrils?
I felt like it was that. It seems like it's that. If you do that plus the mouth tape, I mean, you got to be O2'd up, baby. I mean, you're breathing air.
I remember the first time I did the breathe right strips, I did wake up and feel like buzzed.
Buzzed?
I felt like I had taken like Sudafed. Have you ever had taken Sudafed?
No.
It gives you kind of an amphetamine high.
I don't think I've done enough to really be talking on a microphone ever.
Oh yeah, no, we don't have a right to really speak and record it and put it.
I haven't done Sudafed. I haven't.
You haven't had Sudafed?
I've taken ibuprofen.
Have you taken Claritin D?
No.
Wow.
I don't have allergies really. I don't take anything.
We used to take Claritin D so that we could wake up. So like me and my buddy, we would wake up to go to the gym at like 4 a.m. And so we'd set an alarm for like 3:30, take a Claritin D, and then wake up just fucking out of our minds.
What?
Pseudoephedrine, Claritin D, the ephedrine is what they buy big packs of it, and they extract ephedrine to make meth out of.
What? You're doing this in high school, college?
Yeah, out of college.
See, I didn't drink coffee until out of college. That was my thing. I drank coffee after college. I was like, it's time to check out this coffee stuff. I'm an adult. Like making meth.
We weren't making meth. We were taking the thing that is used to make meth.
That sounds like.
I'll bring it on hikes. So if I need to like wake up for like if we're trying to climb a mountain for like a morning summit, you set an alarm before, take it, and then you wake up and you're like, we're not fucking around, pack the tent, let's go.
So now, how would you compare your life in terms of quality now compared to then in regards to substances and the like? Because it seems like you were, not always, but like, you're imbibing in certain aspects.
I would say there was a long period where I was always on something at a what is it called, a perceptible dose, whether it's caffeine or or weed or booze, or there was very rarely like some type of sobriety or stillness. And there's definitely a level of calm. There's a lot of boredom. There are sometimes little nostalgias about like, man, would be, but also I don't really see a problem with like a lot of like. It's not that I don't see a problem, because I still think they're mind-altering drugs, but like having a coffee was not really nice sometimes. But sometimes you fucking chug a Red Bull and you're like, I'm fucked up right now.
I've never done a Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, you're functionally a Mormon.
Yeah, well, I'll drink caffeine. Sometimes, but yeah, well, every day. I have coffee every day. Yeah. But if I have 2 cups, I'll lose my brain. Like if I have a second cup past 3, I'm like,
yeah. Like I've seen you have after like 3, and you're out of your mind.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. Everything's pointless, and we all die. You know,
really?
It's like I'll get super existential if I have too much coffee.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember when that started happening because I did 1 year no chocolate in 2020, and what? It was an important year for me.
No, I know. It's just like the fattest sobriety commitment I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, I was
1 year no chocolate.
1 year no chocolate.
Wow.
At the end of 2019,
Did you die, Piggy?
I was like, dude, I was crazy. Yeah. In 2019, the end of 2019, I was freaking out, and I was like, because I had coffee really late and a lot of chocolate, and so I gave up chocolate. And then because there's so much caffeine in chocolate, it made my sensitivity to caffeine just spike.
Right.
And yeah, it was 2020 is when COVID hit, and I went no chocolate for the whole year.
Wow.
Maybe the worst year to go no chocolate, frankly.
Yeah.
So it was, but that affected my caffeine sensitivity, and now 2 cups will drive me nuts.
Yeah. I do wonder what it would be like if I drank again, just out of curiosity.
Sure.
But because my for my weight and how fast my metabolism is, my ability to drink was actually pretty high.
Okay.
Because I was doing it for so long. And I think now if I had like 3 beers in like an hour, I'd be probably pretty drunk.
Really? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I don't know, maybe 6.
6 beers in an hour?
Yeah, that would probably really fuck me up.
I couldn't drink 6 beers in an hour. I see this like Shane Gillis drinking like 25 beers in like a minute or whatever. And I'm like, aren't you full?
Yeah.
What's in your stomach? What's happening?
I would just like to point out, like, this shit has been so boring for the reading. We've just gone back to just talking shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so hard to make applicable. To put it in context, they just got the law. They're at Mount Sinai. God is at the top of Mount Sinai where Moses is. And this tabernacle is to allow God to come down from Mount Sinai and be with his people in the tabernacle.
Oh, okay, well, that's an interesting point where it's like, allow him to come. Why can't he come down?
Because he's a holy God. His presence will kill them.
But it didn't.
It didn't kill Moses or the priests.
Didn't kill the priests.
Right, because they had washed themselves before they start going up. Also, I was watching
Couldn't
this
you just
video
not?
too.
Couldn't, if you're all powerful, couldn't you just not kill him?
Well, again, what is his nature?
Comes
right?
down in theophanies.
His nature is holy, right?
Yeah.
So if he is going to show up as a perfectly holy God, through which imperfection cannot be around, like it can't withstand it. It's a nature thing. You know what I mean? Like if you just have light and darkness cannot exist around light. Just nature wise, it can't. And so that's kind of how it is. If God is light and humans have darkness, the darkness will. And if humans are darkness fundamentally, which I would say that's like a really dark way of putting it, but like, yeah, I think we're fundamentally flawed and imperfect, then we will be eliminated by his perfection and his light. So we need to be washed and have a sacrifice go before us so that we can be seen that way, to be with God, which is what all these sacrifices are for. Jesus ultimately was the perfect sacrifice, which I've said before. You're gonna poop when you figure out about Jesus. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Gonna change everything. And so,
Josh, don't get your hopes up that it's going to change everything.
Hey, you don't get your hopes up.
Okay.
And so then I saw this in the videos I was watching via the Bible Project and stuff like that. The people were told to come to Mount Sinai because that's where God was, but the people were terrified, and they said, "Moses, you freaking go! Yeah, you go check this out."
Sure.
And so God was kind of like, "Hey, everyone, get up here."
Okay.
And then they were like,
don't remember that part.
And they were like, no, we're scared. This is terrifying. And then God gives Moses a way to bring himself to the people in a way that the people can handle. I guess, in a way, through the tabernacle.
Yeah,
so it's
but
God's
it's still
presence.
coming. There's still always a middleman of a priest.
Yes,
they are not allowed to go in. Are they allowed in the courtyard?
Yes, they can be in the courtyard.
They can hang out in the courtyard.
They can hang.
They can do a little barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue. Well, that's all this is a barbecue.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All tailgating.
That is when I feel closest to God.
When you're tailgating?
Yeah, when I got a little mini grill on the back of a Jeep.
I've never tailgated.
It's fun.
In my
life.
life.
A big thing in Wisconsin.
I believe that.
You're just so drunk.
Yeah, what else you got?
Everybody's around the car that they're about to drink and drive after the game. It's really fucked up. Tailgating is basically a large celebration that ends with every single person drinking and driving.
Yeah, I don't understand, man. People are like, drinking and driving, it kills, it does. So many people do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's nuts, dude.
If it does, hammered driving kills. Drunk driving, usually.
That's the thing, but also...
But the problem is everybody's also hammered driving.
Yeah.
And you can get really unlucky. I mean, I think every car should have a breathalyzer in it. That's my, like, hot take.
My buddy Evan Joe, he's a comic in Denver. He has a really funny joke about like his he just thought his dad, I think it was either his dad or his mom had a car where you had to get breathalyzed to start the car, and he just thought cars had that. He just thought every car was that way.
You thought you needed to blow cars.
Yeah, exactly. He just thought it was that's every car has that because his parents had that. I mean, I don't think that'd be a bad thing at all.
I think that should be the rule.
For me, it'd be super easy.
Yeah,
pass every time. I got breathalyzed one time.
Sure, for everybody, it should be super easy.
Yeah, that's a good point. 0.013.
Oh, really? Wait,
0.08 is the legal limit, and I blew a 0.013.
And you said you've never been drunk before.
I wasn't drunk. 0.08 is the legal limit. Yeah. 0.013.
Oh, yeah.
Way less.
I was skipping the first zero.
Yeah, I was too. When I saw it, I was like, oh no, I'm so drunk. How's this possible? And then the cop was like, I thought you said you were drinking tonight. And I was like, because I was driving my buddy's car because he was drunk.
Yeah.
And right before we were leaving, my friends were like, everyone take a shot. And then I was like, nah, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So glad I did not take that shot. Because it was like 10 minutes afterwards. Even if I wasn't drunk, I would have blown.
Driving?
Yeah.
Oh, you got legit breathalyzed by cops.
Yeah, I got pulled over.
Sometimes people in bars in Wisconsin will just have them because it's funny. And so like people will be passing a breathalyzer around.
Well, there was one at the party beforehand.
Yeah.
And it was 1 decimal place short. It was just 2 decimal places, 0.00. And then when the cop had me blow it was 3 decimal places. But I was working off just the 2. So I blew it and I thought I blew a 0.13.
Yeah.
And I was like, dear Lord. And then it was obviously a 0.013.
Yeah.
And the cop was unimpressed. I've been, that was one DUI thing that didn't happen, obviously. And then the other time I got threatened for arrest and for DUI, and I got off with that one too. I've been pulled over 6 times, no tickets.
And they've been all like, well, I wonder why that is. But
yeah, I know. Well, no, I used to have a joke about that. I say, and people will say that that's like white privilege. But every time I asked them, I said, are you just letting me go because I'm white? And then every single one of the cops said, nope.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So there you go.
Trust them.
It's not white privilege.
Yeah.
I asked them, and they said, no, what else?
A cat. All cops are truthful.
What? Oh, a cat. Yeah, a cat.
A cat.
I used to try to say Hitler was a cab.
Yeah.
Hitler was a cab, which is Aryan cops are best. Hitler was...
that one's got to...
It's too much.
We got to put that one to rest. We got to put this one to rest. If you're stuck in this far, thank God.
We're not even at the hour. We have 40 seconds left.
We can go short on this one. There's nothing else to say.
Well, let's again put it in context. They just got out of Egypt. They just got the law. God's presence is just now among them in the tabernacle. And if you didn't like this episode, well, skip the next 15, baby, because
the next one gets eventful with the golden calf.
Oh, that's true.
That's the thing. Next
step will be good.
Sinai is the height of their relationship with God, and then it starts to trail off again
immediately
in the forever undulation that is the worship of.
Yeah. So the next of Exodus will close out nice. There's a lot more narrative there for us to go through, and then I'm thinking about Leviticus. I've been thinking about Leviticus since we started this.
That's more rules.
Yeah, I guess it will be rules. I'm stoked that you like the rules because Leviticus is all rules. It's a lot of nitty gritty stuff. Yeah. So there's that. And then after that is Numbers. Numbers is also tough.
I hate Numbers.
It's a lot of building. And then Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is fun. Deuteronomy gets fun. And then we're back to strong narrative with Joshua. And that's when we're really cooking with narrative again.
And that's all still OT.
Oh, yeah.
It's mostly Old Testament, right?
Yeah.
That's the Louis joke, but there's like this much about Jesus, and the rest
there's that much about let me show him the cutoff here. Micah says even that. I mean, if you can't even Zechariah, even that. Okay, all of this. I don't know if they can see this. Is OT that we have.
Well, all of this.
All of that is OT.
And then this little bit is NT.
It's, which just shows you all this is prophecy and law, prophecy, narrative, poetry, praise, lamentation, all of that. And then this, like the first, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Okay, this is perfect. And then this is about Jesus in the beginning of the church.
And then the rest is about people talking about how they met Jesus.
And the rest is about, not necessarily, but and then the rest of it is like kind of theology and how to live a Christian life and how to follow Jesus. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Ow.
But that's enough for now.
Jeez. All right. It's enough for now.
This has been another episode of
Call Him Father.
We hope you liked it. We love you. Like, share, subscribe. And, come back next week for the Golden Calf.
Golden Calf.